Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Solo Inter podcast. And yeah, we are back here on the channel after Inter's 11th consecutive win. And yeah, that win just shows how important it was because it wasn't an easy match versus Cagliari, and it helped us maintain our 11-point lead over AC Milan and 12-point lead over Juventus. As usual, I'm joined by Manish. It was quite a close match, Manish. How are you, first of all, and what's your take on the match? How do you think we fared, and do you think it was tougher than your expectations? Because last time we didn't have you for the Cagliari preview. So, what was your actual prediction for the match as well?
Yes, thank you, Parmeshwar. It's good to be back finally. I missed last week's special episode, but I'm back now. Yes, talking about the Cagliari game, like I said, always I keep saying Parmeshwar a few points is like whenever you face relegation sides, it's going to be a battle. It's always been that because right now it's like every team fights for survival, especially the bottom last four or five teams. So playing them right now, it won't be easy. It's going to be tricky. And yes, Cagliari need no introduction with Nainggolan and Diego Godin and Asamoah, a lot of familiar faces. Yeah, you could see that. I think during the pre-match, before the match started, Nainggolan was chilling with a couple of Inter players and
Yeah,
stuff. So the
yeah,
bond is still there with them. But
yeah.
yeah, this match, I predicted a close match. So I'm not going with the
Hmm,
score, but yes, I predicted a very close match. So talking
hmm,
about the game, first of all, seeing the lineup, I'm so happy Sensi started. I think this is his
hmm,
second
hmm,
start this whole season.
hmm,
So
hmm.
it's good to see him in starting lineup. And he played a good 80 minutes. So yeah, that was surprising. I thought he would be subbed at halftime or just around the hour mark. But he played 80 minutes. That showed his fitness has improved a lot. Good job by Pintus and Conti, I believe, to get him back in shape. And also,
Hmm.
let's thank Roberto Mancini for that.
Yeah,
So yeah,
definitely.
talking about the midfield trio was quite technical. Was Eriksson, Brozovic, and Sensi, the three of them, all quite technical. It's good to have Brozovic back too. So yeah, the
Yes.
game, it pretty much I think we expected. I think I was watching a preview. Everybody expected Inter to take the front foot, and yes, playing at San
Hmm,
Siro, Inter took
hmm,
the front foot. Inter took the initiative, but my God,
hmm,
this Cagliari team defended well with Godin leading the
hmm.
line. Uh, I think we had more possession and a
Yeah,
couple of
yeah,
shots, but I think the
yeah.
keeper, the Cagliari keeper, he did a good job. It was his debut, Serie A
Great job.
debut. So
Yeah, yep.
yeah, he did a great job. Couple of long range shots by Ericsson. I thought Sanchez was quite off. Like we always complain, Sanchez has been more performing if he comes or as a super sub. Last 20, 25 odd minutes when he comes on, he brings that burst of energy. That's what we missed. And you could see the link up in Lautaro and Lukaku. I mean, sorry, Sanchez
Hmm,
and Lukaku wasn't there much. Couple of
hmm, hmm.
promising positions they came, and then Sanchez just fucked it up by passing somewhere.
Exactly.
Sanchez, for me,
Yeah.
seemed a bit off. But other than
Hmm,
that, Ericsson played very good. From the midfield three, I loved
yeah,
Ericsson. He took
yeah.
confidently shots. His set pieces were spot on. And
Hmm,
good to see Sensi also. So, yeah, permission. So, overall, I'm happy with the possession we had. It's good football we played. I think if we had taken a chance, if De Vrij header got in, it'd been good. And let's not forget,
yeah.
Nainggolan's always going to take one or two shots, and he took one shot. And good kudos to Handanovic for stopping that. What was your take, Parmeshwar, on the match?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of points on yours. The thing is, to begin with, firstly, see, the thing is, Conte said in his press conference that he knew Cagliari would come to defend more often than attack. And the thing is, once Semplici has taken over Cagliari, he's shifted to a 3-5-2. So they pretty much did what we do, and they did, play a 5-3-2 off the ball, and that made things difficult. And credit to them, as Conte said, credit to Cagliari. They have players that they have actually a pretty decent team, and 18th on the table is not what where they should be, of course. And they did make life hard for us. You saw Nangolan take that long range shot. That was one threat. And yeah, I was a bit worried going into the match. If you watch the preview, my prediction was like a 2-1 or a 1-0 win, and 1-0 it was. And my takeaway from this game was that this was a big test for us in a way that, see, as you said, these relegation battling teams, they are not going to make it easy for you. On the other hand, most of the games we've been sitting back. This was a challenge wherein we were made to have more of the ball. Cagliari wanted to sit back, so it was a new challenge wherein we had to break the other teams down. And the biggest challenge on top of that was that we had rested Hakimi. we started Sanchez, as you said, and we know Sanchez and Lukaku don't link up that well, and that was evident in the match too. And at the same time, Conte gave his reasons for doing that. He said that I benched Hakimi because this is like our third game in 8 days, and he needed rest. And we all know
Yes,
Hakimi is going
yes,
through a bit of
yeah.
a rough patch,
Rough
so he
patch, yeah.
needed rest. So that was fine. But then
What
that
about
did take
missing
away a bit of
Barella? Do you think that affected play?
yeah, I'm coming to that. So our wing threat was a bit limited. Ashley Young was exhausted, and then Darmian had to play at right wing back, and then Conte said that he chose the technical midfield, a more technical midfield of Sensi, Brozovic, and Eriksen because he knew Cagliari would sit deep, so that was a good reason. And he said Alexis started because, of course, he deserves to start. You can't always bench Alexis, and he's good in breaking the line. So it's just I think we just have to give Cagliari credit for the way they defended. And coming to Barella, of course, we missed his presence, man, because he's of course we did press in a more structured way, but Barella is that player who constantly annoys the other players by constantly keeping getting at them. He doesn't stop. So he of course missed that. I don't doubt that, but I think we showed the right level of maturity in having the ball. We didn't have unnecessary possession. We were creating the right plays, in my opinion. Sensi was taking initiative. He took a couple of
Yeah,
shots.
couple
I
of
felt,
shots.
I
Yeah, that
felt,
was good.
yeah, exactly. I think he was just overdoing with a bit of his one-touch passes, wherein he gave away possession, similar to Alexis, wherein Alexis just wouldn't release the ball at some point. He just kept dribbling unnecessarily. But
Yeah,
yeah, that was that. And Eriksen, in my opinion, had a good game too. Of course, we'll touch up on the individual performances, but I think considering the fact that Cagliari deployed a 5-3-2 and the fact that we didn't give away a goal is very impressive against a team that wanted to get a point at the Meazza. So I'm pretty satisfied. I think defensively we neutralized Pavoletti and Pedro pretty well. And yeah, I mean, kudos to Cagliari for the way they set up. They made life hard for us. And yeah, you can see they're really trying to stay up. I mean, it's difficult now that Torino won before they did, but kudos to them. And as long as the wins keep coming, I'm satisfied. And as Conte keeps saying, every point is double at this stage. Like, it's worth double, right? It's equal to 6 points. And we could see why it is equal to 6 points. No team is going to make it easy for us. We face Napoli on Sunday, and that's going to be yeah, that's going to be really hard. So yeah, I mean, overall, I'm just happy with the win. The players showed the right level of maturity, the determination, as Conte said. The persistence and the celebration every time we score a
yes.
goal. The
I think
celebration always
the
sums it. It's
celebration
just
went a bit wild, and I think for a long time we haven't seen a manager running
yeah,
up to the touch line
yeah,
and hugging the
yeah,
players.
yeah,
So Conti just
yeah.
did a Mourinho in that.
Yeah, exactly. And he said he would walk on fire. He would jump in fire for the players. That connection is there. So I'm just glad to see that, man. Like regardless of who plays, I'm just
And plus,
happy.
Conti
These
said one more thing regarding that. A lot of players doubted me. A lot of players, I mean, a lot of
yeah
fans considered
fans.
ill of me when I joined Inter.
Mm,
I hope I proven
mm,
them wrong. So he said
yeah,
some certain words which all I think Inter fans needed to hear.
mm,
Especially
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
critical ones. But
yeah.
yes, God,
Agree.
Parmeshwar, it has
Yeah,
been a
yeah.
very
As you said,
tough match and good.
yeah, as you said, he's as many people said, he's sort of showing signs of becoming more and more
Yeah,
interisty day by day. Like,
that's good.
he is understanding. He said, he also said that, he was told that Inter is going to be a huge challenge, but he loves these kind of challenges and he accepted it because of his past mainly is what he meant. Because, he, of course, the Juventus background and everything. And, he is doing a great job. And he kept on saying, it's not over yet. We have not crossed the finish line. We're just getting closer to it, and we must keep this form going. We must keep the wins coming, is what he said. And can't agree more with him. It's not done yet. And yeah, we just need to keep this focus going. And
True.
regardless of,
Also, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Sorry,
just wanted to
continue.
cap it off. Yeah, wanted to cap it off by saying that regardless of who we play, the aim has to always be to win. Like Conte hates losing. So yeah, we just have to
Right.
keep these wins coming. Yeah,
Yeah, so what I was saying, considering the Hakimi one, he needed to be
yeah,
benched because
yeah,
last time we saw that ever since he was benched for the first time, and that something sparked, some spark came
yep,
inside him, and he started performing well.
mm,
Also, this
yeah,
game, I think when he benched, we could see the frustration, anger initially,
yeah,
but when he came
yeah,
on, you know the difference he can make when
mm,
this guy
mm,
does the right final ball, Hakimi. And what a
mm,
final
mm,
ball he gave, because normally he crosses to
mm.
Lukaku or he crosses
Yep,
this side,
yep,
but first time
yep,
he crosses to the far post.
yeah,
And
mm,
hats off to Darmian also, who came running in. It was a
yeah,
tough shot,
yeah,
but
yeah.
he
We
scored.
will, yeah, yeah, of
And
course.
that obviously goes to Hakimi because he started off the move. Hakimi passed to
Yeah,
Lukaku. Lukaku
Lukaku.
held the ball
Yeah,
well
yeah,
and then released
mm,
Hakimi. So Hakimi really
yeah.
deserved. He was architect for that goal.
Yeah. Also, of course, we will touch in more into detail in the player ratings. Also, with Darmian, I just want to say before we touch upon the performance, man, this guy has shown exceptional professionalism. I remember when he first
Definitely.
signed for Inter, nobody showed up for, usually Interisti show up for, of course, the unveiling. And of course, these are pandemic times, so no people aren't expected to show up. But nobody showed up for him, and he got a lot of abuse under social media posts. Like a lot of it, I don't know why. I mean, he's just signing for the club. He's not doing anything wrong, right? He's not abusing them. He's just signed for a club, and the amount of abuse he got was unreal. And the amount of professionalism he showed is exceptional. And hats off to him, because every time he's played, he's never really had a bad game. Maybe yes, a few bad moments here and there, but he's never really had a full bad game per se. If you think about it, he scored a goal in the Champions League when we really needed it. He's a true professional. He plays at
He's a
he's
true
deployed at
professional,
left.
definitely.
Yeah, deployed
And
at left center back.
keeping,
Did well.
yeah,
Yeah, sorry.
Darmian is a pure Conti type player because
Yeah,
Conti loves this
definitely.
type of players like
Yeah.
Giaccherini and stuff. I don't
Mm,
think Darmian can shine the same way with any other manager. So we
mm,
gave Conti what he wants, and yes, if we give him the
mm,
right players, he will do
mm.
wonders. And Darmian, like you
Exactly.
said, a true professional. He played a
Yeah.
center back previous game. Now he
Mm,
played right
mm.
wing. He played left back. He's like a joker
Yeah.
in our team. So,
Yeah.
very professional.
Definitely.
And he also
Definitely.
said
Definitely.
that everyone feels part of the team. No one feels left out. That's one thing
Yeah.
because I think now Conte relies on everybody. We use Ranocchia, we use Darmian. Ashley Young, who has been left out, has come back. Ericsson is
Yeah.
back.
Exactly.
And players like Vecino and Gagliardini are getting late brought into the team. So pretty much
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
using the entire squad. So the
Yeah.
harmony
Yeah.
is there. That's really important for us.
Definitely good to see, important to see. And now I think we should delve into the player ratings, and of course when we look at it, a few stats as we go. So I want to start, of course, from the back. You can start with Handanovic. Manish, what do you rate him? How
Yes,
do you think he fared?
Handanovic, again, very
Hmm.
little to do.
Yeah.
We dominated more of possession. We had more possession. I think Cagliari just
Hmm.
had around 7 shots, which one on target, which pretty much an Nainggolan shot.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
So other than that, they had 46% possession. Yes, nothing
Yep.
like that.
Yep.
So Handanovic, I would say 6.5 to 7 rating. He just got low on
Hmm.
and then Jan
Hmm.
Nainggolan shot. And
Yep.
sometimes
Hmm.
Nainggolan, he shoots with like amazing power. He
Yep.
can
Yep.
actually trickle down, and it was a tricky shot, but
Definitely.
Handanovic did well, and yes, I would give him a 6.5 rating for my side for Samir Handanovic.
Fair enough, fair enough, fair enough, fair enough. And I agree with Nangolan. Like, he's not been the best since going back to Cagliari. He struggled for fitness, but the one goal he scored for Cagliari was a long ranger and I think was a late goal. So, you can't underestimate his left foot. He does score some bangers and we know that. And Handanovic did pretty well to save that. Moving on, I think I'll rate Skriniar. So with Skriniar, I think he was pretty decent. I won't say it was one of his it wasn't one of his top 5 matches of the season, because I saw Duncan giving him a bit of a hard time. He did take him on once and twice, and he did beat Skriniar, in fact. So of course I'm not going to be too harsh on Skriniar because it wasn't an easy game, and players like Duncan are hard to contain. So considering all that and considering how the rest of the backline performed, in my opinion, I would give Skriniar 6.5, because yeah, I think Duncan did give him a bit of hard moment, but with this team is what when you look at the thing is that if you assess each department, it's everyone works collectively. So in the
Right.
collective sense, you know when you break it down individually, I think I'll give Skriniar a 6.5. Yeah. What do you think
Fair
about
enough.
Debray?
Fair
What do
enough.
you think?
Okay,
What do you
for
think?
me,
How you?
Devray, he played the best on the back three. I personally
Yeah.
feel he had a very tough
Mm,
duel with Pavoletti. You know how
mm,
experienced Pavoletti is.
yeah. Yeah.
And also Devray did a good header which hit the
Mm,
post.
mm,
So, and
mm,
plus he had overall control of the match. I would give him a rating of
mm,
7.5. If that goal had
completely.
stood, I would give him 8 rating. So 7.5, well deserved one. And ever since COVID, he's slowly getting back into shape and right form. So yeah, I'm happy with
Yeah, yeah. Couldn't agree more. I think Devray was definitely the best, because Cagliari didn't press us, but then his distribution is fantastic. He just keeps you ticking, and the composure this guy shows on the ball, off the ball, it's fantastic. And I have to agree with you, he was the best. Sorry, can you come out again with the rating? I lost you there for a bit.
I gave him 7.5 to Stefan
Yeah,
Devray.
okay. Perfect, perfect, perfect. 7.5, couldn't agree more. I will come to Bastoni, of course. I think Bastoni, it was always good to see him back in the lineup. He's so important. We need him. And again, I think he didn't have hard moments. I think he contained, he did a good job on Joao Pedro. covered all the half spaces very well. And I think it was more about his positioning yesterday, excellent, I think, in sync with Ashley Young, a few good passes. And also there was a stat to highlight Bastoni, if I'll just read it out, is very important, I think. So Opta says that Bastoni has begun the move for 7 goals that Inter have scored this season. We've seen his through balls, that goal for that assist for Barella versus Juventus, and that's him being a defender, and that's on par with Toni Kroos and Leon Goretzka. So that says a lot. And if you put that into perspective and his performance, I think he was the second best yesterday, so I'll give him a 7, not on par with Skriniar. I think he was better than Skriniar, and since you rated De Vrij highly, which I agree with, Bastoni has to get a 7. Moving on, I think we'll go to the wing backs, beginning with Ashraf Hakimi. What do you make of his? Sorry, my bad. Ashraf Hakimi, Matteo Darmian.
Okay,
Completely forgot. Yeah,
Darmian,
yeah,
I would give a rating of 8.
yeah,
This guy, he played a very good match.
yeah,
He had
yeah,
one of his left-footed shot, the keeper stopped. Also, he doesn't have the space of Hakimi and
yeah.
to
Of
get
course.
in, but he did a couple of moves. So he started off well,
Mm,
and the goal he
yeah,
scored, credits to him. And this guy, why
yeah,
extra point 5 I gave is because he can play anywhere. He can play right wing back, left wing
yeah.
back, and the versatility
Mm,
is there,
mm,
the professionalism is there,
yeah,
and he's
definitely.
a safe bet. So, but this match again
Mm,
he scored, so I would give a rating of 8.
mm, mm,
And that's what a crucial goal, because pretty much this match was heading to a 0-0. Just
mm,
Darmian popped up in the right place at the right time. So an 8 rating
mm.
from my side.
Do you think, just to add on to this, do you think he was your man of the match, or is it someone else as we move on to the ratings?
Uh, I would say he is definitely one of the best performers along with
Okay.
Ericsson.
So we will
So yeah,
we will touch upon it then. Since you rated Darmian 8, of course I'll come on to Ashley Young. So I think with Ashley Young, it was one of those cases wherein he was just exhausted because he's playing his third game in 8 days, and that's not easy. And we've seen it against Bologna also. He was exhausted by the 60th minute. So I'm not going to blame him, or I'm not going to hold him responsible for anything. He didn't have much to do. The ball wasn't much on his side, and I think as far as containment was concerned, he did a pretty good job on Nahita Hernandez. And sorry, not Nahita Hernandez. I think Licco Giannis. Yeah, it was Licco Giannis. Sorry, my bad. But I think he was pretty decent. And yeah, I think if I had to rate him, 6, I think, because there was not really much for him to do. Yeah,
right,
and
right.
I think I'll just give him this plus point five bonus points, because we know that he's on his 4th yellow card and he didn't get booked. So I think that's a huge thing for me, because we can't afford to lose any players at this point.
Correct.
So I'll give him a 6. Yeah.
Just
Sorry, you
also
was.
regarding Ashley Young, this guy actually
Yeah.
can deliver good passes. He used to play in Aston Villa
Yeah.
as a winger,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
this match again he's gone back doing more back passes.
Yeah.
Ashley Young should take the confidence and try crossing, because he
Yeah.
actually can give in good balls. You saw the
Yeah.
last match. And also,
Yeah.
just my mentioning with Darmian, one thing I noticed, something funny, when Darmian
Yeah.
scored, the players that came to hug him, he played as left wing back,
Yeah.
were Perisic
Yeah.
and Ashley Young, the other two left wing backs. So
Yes. Yes.
that
Yes.
shows the squad harmony, because although they're fighting for the
Yeah.
same position, Darmian
Yeah.
played as a
Exactly.
left wing
That's.
back. Perisic, and
Yeah.
if you watch the replay, you'd see Perisic and Ashley Young, the
Yeah.
first players to come and give the hug.
Exactly. Yeah. That's good to see. Perisic showing that intent is really good to see. And I just wanted to correct myself that Ashley Young was actually up front with Nahita Hernandez, up against Nahita Hernandez. Actually,
Right.
Hernandez played as the left wing back, and Zappa, ex Inter Academy player,
Yes.
Zappa was at right wing back. And sorry, Ashley Young, again, to my correction, was against Zappa. And why I feel this is important, because Young contained Zappa very well, because I remember even the commentators saying, Zappa made a lot of unnecessary back passes. He was afraid to take those risks against Young. So good job, Young. Decent job, in fact, 6 in my opinion. And just to add to Darmian, Manish, since he played so well, there's a stat for Darmian which Inter's Instagram account posted. It's his personal best. 4 goal contributions this season in a single season, 2 goals, 2 assists. So just to add to what you said, everyone's proving to be vital. So those were the wing backs. Let's move to the midfield, Manish, starting with, since I think you were very happy with Ericsson, I'll let you have Ericsson. What do you make of his performance? And yeah, what's your thoughts?
Yes, Ericsson, I think his set pieces were good. His long range
Yeah,
shots were good. He played with a
yeah,
smile. He played with confidence. And
mm,
yes, I think a couple of shots there were really good shots. It wasn't like,
mm,
although it would have been somewhere towards this corner,
yeah,
surely been a goal.
yeah,
I
yeah,
would give
definitely.
Ericsson equally an 8 rating, like Darmian.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
guy, he did a lot of good passes, and his overall
mm,
distribution is good. He started in between the
mm,
right side of the midfield, then came to the left side
yeah,
of midfield. Wherever he
yeah,
played, played really well. So he is
yeah.
equally in rating as 8 as Darmian.
Yeah. So also just a stat I was reading about Ericsson was that he actually took on the most shots, I think, along with Sensi. So that says a lot. And he had 65 passes, 95.6% success rate, and 50 of those 65 passes were actually forward progressive passes. So impressive, pretty impressive. And I agree with you. He was really good. One of his best games, easily. And he was also the player who ran the most yesterday, and that is
All right.
considering it's quite something considering that Brozovic was also on the pitch, and we know that it's Brozovic usually who puts in the
Yes.
distance. With that being said, as I've mentioned Brozovic, I'll talk about Brozovic, and I think he was one of my men of the matches because I think he was really good yesterday. I think his performance from yesterday will go under the radar because in the first half, there were a few moments where Cagliari did find an opening, and Brozovic was the one who swept in and immediately passed it back to Handanovic. I don't know if you remember that, but he was so important to me yesterday, and I think his performance will go under the radar. He passed the ball around well, showed the right composure, and ran the distance, swept the ball well up. And I think I will. With that being said, since you have given Ericsson an 8, I think I'll also give Brozovic an 8 because I think he was really good. I think his performance will go under the radar. And yeah, kudos to Brozovic. Kudos to the entire midfield. And since I've said midfield, the last guy in the
Sensi.
midfield, Mr. Stefano Sensi, starts in a long while. What do you make of his performance, Manish?
It's nicknamed the Glassman, Sensi. So before I go on Sensi,
Yeah.
just talk about Brozovic. I
Mm.
think he was very important. He stopped a lot of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
counterattacks, which
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
and he's very important possession because he's the one which gets the
Mm.
ball and distributes. Although I
Yeah.
wouldn't give him an 8 rating personally, I would give him somewhere around 7 rating, my personal thing. And he gave one
Yeah.
hefty challenge on Pedro, which that
Mm.
seemed
Yeah. That
quite
was. Yeah. That was there.
risky
That was
challenge.
there. Yeah.
It could
Yeah.
have been some other color during some time, but thankfully it wasn't. And he was, I think, a couple of times arguing with the referee a lot of times. So just for that, I
Mm.
would give a 7 rating. For
Okay.
me, Stefano Sensi was equally good. He had a lot of shots, like you said, equal number of shots. It wasn't one of his best performances because we know we expect a lot from Sensi, but certainly didn't
Mm.
disappoint. I would give a rating of
Yeah.
Sensi around 7.5.
Mm.
He did I wouldn't say did justice to Barella's role, but Barella seemed off a bit. So saying that Sensi was a
Mm.
good welcome change. He
Yeah.
did a couple of moves. He cut into his left and gave shots, a couple of long range shots, and yeah, and he played a good 80 minutes. And it's good to see him
Mm.
back. So I would give a rating of 7.5 to Sensi.
Yeah, the only reason I give Brozovic an 8 also is when I consider that foul is because when Pedro actually at that moment broke away from the defense, so Brozovic didn't have much of a choice. He had to make that foul. And now when you look at Sensi's rating, I think when you give him if you give him a 7.5, I feel Brozovic was still better. So this is my personal take. I think Brozovic had a really good game apart from that one tackle, so it's fine. Yeah, but I mean, of course, the midfield still did a great job. We needed that technical midfield,
Right.
and that's
Yeah.
that. And we come to, of course, since you gave you rated Sensi right now, I will rate Alexis Sanchez, and then you can rate Romelu Lukaku. So
Right.
of course, Alexis Sanchez was a big talking point, Manish. Like Conte's reason, as I mentioned, to start him was because he can break the lines, and Lautaro did need some rest. I agree with that, and Sanchez does need to start here and there, but Sanchez, as always, he overdoes a lot of things. He overthinks in his mind when he has the ball. You saw that one moment where he, had the ball, he could have passed it, but he just kept going around in circles. And it's a bit confusing. Like, he wants to do the right thing, he presses well, but again, he can't create space for Lukaku. I don't think that sync is there. And I'm not going to be too critical for him, but there was also this moment, sorry, Manish, where you must have seen where the ball deflected and was going out for a corner, and he just
Oh
went on and
yeah.
he fouled Vicario. I'm like,
Needless.
the
Needless.
yeah, and I'm thinking to myself, the ball's going out. Why are you fouling Vicario? We could have had a corner,
Corner.
and you just gave a
Exactly.
yeah, he just gave away a corner. So it's just thinking, overthinking, can't keep things simple. So I don't want to be too critical, but I think it was a bit disappointing, and for that I'm going to just rate him a 5.5 because I think he could have done so much better. He showed signs, but he just couldn't capitalize on it. And to be fair, he had this one good moment where Sensi lobbed the ball, he received it, he passed it to Darmian, and Vicario saved it again. So fair play to him, but not one of his best games. 5.5, but with that being said, moving on to Romelu Lukaku, what do you think, Manish? What do you make of his
I
performance?
couldn't agree more on Sanchez's point. I
Yeah,
think you're spot on with the ratings. Talking about
yeah,
Lukaku, I think Lukaku missed Lautaro very badly, and most of
yeah, yeah.
Lukaku's play is involved
Mm,
with
mm,
Martinez. He
Yeah.
didn't have
Yeah.
Martinez. Also, he didn't have Hakimi too, and he didn't have
Hmm.
Barella.
Hmm.
So the
Hmm.
usual people weren't there with Lukaku. But saying that,
Yeah.
he did perform well. I would give rating 6.5. He gave one very good pass to Sanchez. I think Sanchez was offside.
Yep. Yep.
Other than that,
Yep.
he worked
Correct.
tirelessly, and he
Yeah.
started off the not started
Goal.
off. He was
But he was
heavily
important.
involved in that
Correct.
Hakimi's pass to Darmian. So 6.5 is my
Definitely.
rating. Definitely one
Definitely.
of good performance, Lukaku. No complaints on that.
Definitely. Can't agree more with you. And I think that was the entire starting 11. I think we touched upon Sanchez, Lukaku, everyone. And yeah, I mean, the starting 11 did a pretty fine job. And of course, but to a point, it wasn't enough. And Conte clearly saw that we needed a few changes. And the fact that Ashley Young was exhausted, sorry, my bad. We saw that we needed Hakimi, and we saw that Sanchez wasn't doing well, so we needed Lautaro. So these are the two subs, in my opinion, are the only ones who actually should get a rating. But moving on to the ratings, I'll rate Hakimi to begin with. Hakimi, as we said, Manish needed that rest. He needed to get benched. Like, he wasn't going through the best of forms. He was going through a rough patch, and he's a young player. Of course, it will happen. And Conte also gave this reason, which I'll point out right now, is that he felt that, since Cagliari sit deep, if Hakimi wasn't successful in breaking down Cagliari in the first 60, 70 minutes, we would need his pace and energy in the last, 20, 30 minutes. That's one reason he benched Hakimi, and I completely agree with him. First of all, it's the form, it's the exhaustion, and the need to break down an exhausted Cagliari. And it's just what he did, as you pointed out earlier. Started the play, linked up with Lukaku, made the right run, found Darmian properly, didn't overthink, didn't cross, because we know his crosses aren't the best. Did the right job, and as a sub, I think he was he was very important, and it's exactly what we needed. And with that being said, I will give him a rating of 7, because we've given certain players who didn't play well a 6.5. So I think just because he got the assist and he showed the right energy and attitude, I will give him a 7. Just a good cameo from Hakimi. And since I've rated Hakimi, what do you think about Lautaro Martinez, Manish?
Lautaro Martinez, again, I think he wanted to be on the pitch badly. And what luxury
Hmm.
we have to bring on Hakimi and Martinez. Normally,
Exactly.
last couple of seasons, you could see like we had nobody to bring on. But now
Perfectly.
it's good. Conte can use this to advantage. Like you said, a fresh Hakimi
Hmm.
against a
Hmm.
tired Cagliari defense
Cagliari.
made wonders.
Yep.
Same thing with Lautaro Martinez. He came on. You could see the energy, the burst of he was
Yep.
closing down opposition. He was running
Yep.
well. I would give him
Yep.
rating again 6.5, like Lukaku.
Yeah.
He
Yep.
did well when he came on, so no complaints.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, if you look at Lautaro, he also immediately had 1-2 good touches as he came in, and he started, switching the play from one flank to the
Switching
other.
play, that was
Yeah,
amazing. Yeah,
exactly.
that's one of his
Exactly.
main strengths. He did it
Yep.
in the Champions League also. As a lot of
Yep,
times that's
exactly.
great.
And that is what we needed to break down Cagliari. He had
Yeah,
to start finding Hakimi. Important, very important. And I don't think we can really rate
yes, we
Gagliardini,
can't rate.
Vecino, and Ambrosio. Can't rate them, but I just want to point something out, is that I don't think Conte made the wrong subs, but when you put Gagliardini and Vecino on at once, it is a bit worrying, because you saw Gagliardini get nutmegged. So, that was a bit worrying. And Vecino also, he was okay. I mean, it's just that when you play Gagliardini and Vecino at once, you are going a bit too defensive, and Cagliari had to attack at that point, and we saw Pavoletti giving us a few worrying moments in the end.
I'll come to that. So
Yeah,
regarding Gagliardini and Messina, I thought that subs may okay, although Gagliardini, nothing more to expect. But
yeah,
D'Ambrosio
yeah,
sub was a bit confusing to me. D'Ambrosio right
yeah,
wing back
yeah,
or center back at
yeah,
best. But D'Ambrosio for
yeah.
me this season has been quite poor. And when you put him in the left wing
Okay.
back, he has no
Yeah,
pace and stuff. And you could see immediately Zappa
yeah,
destroyed him, I think once, twice, thrice.
yeah,
And that was risky
yeah,
because they constantly attacking from
yeah,
the right side. And that
yeah,
for me was a little
yeah,
surprising with D'Ambrosio playing as a
yeah.
left wing back.
Mm. Yeah, I agree. He did look a bit rusty. D'Ambrosio did look rusty, whereas Vecino just had to run, and he did give it his all. But with Gagliardini also, again, he had to run. But then when he got nutmegged, I was really worried, man. So that is exactly why I didn't want Vecino and Gagliardini at once. But it is what it is. We won
Yeah.
after all. And with that being said, I just want to point out a few team stats before we give a team rating and
Before
the
I
rating
want to
to
give you
Conte.
who's your man of the
Yeah,
match and
sorry.
flop of the match? I want to know that.
Oh, okay. Of course, of course. Thanks for pointing it out. So my man of the match, for me, it's close between Matteo Darmian, Brozovic, Eriksson, and Devray. But I'll give it to Darmian because he started off well. He had one or two rough moments in receiving certain passes, but I think what I also want to point out about Darmian is that he was making those runs from inside out to get headers,
Right,
from
right.
crosses. He was trying that throughout the match. And once Hakimi came on, he made a late run into the box. And I'm just happy with his commitment towards the team. And he showed the right balance, right attitude. So I just think Darmian is my man of the match. And after that, I think Brozovic would be second for me. But Darmian has to be my man of the match. And sorry, just to come to the flop of the match. This is a tough one, man. This is a tough one. But again, when I think about it, sorry, Alexis Sanchez, it has to be him. As if we give the reason, we give the ratings. It can do better. I'm not going to be too
Correct.
harsh on him, but definitely my flop of the match. But how about you, Manish? Your man of the
Uh,
match and your flop of.
for me, like two players, standout players were one Darmian and Ericsson.
Yeah,
Because Ericsson,
yeah,
we saw him shoot and he gave really
yep.
good shots. And also the set pieces were spot on.
Mm,
And like you said, 96% of the pass accuracy.
mm,
That's a like complete midfielder. So
yeah,
I would
completely.
give like the nod would go to Darmian for it's just because of
Perfect.
opportunism of playing the
Mm,
right side as well as left side.
mm. Yeah,
That's Ericsson coming a close second.
yeah.
Regarding the flop, I couldn't agree
Also,
more. I
sorry,
couldn't.
sorry, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Just before you go into the flop of the match, I know you give Darmian the man of the match and Ericsson is your second best. But if you had to pick a third best player on the pitch, who do you give it to?
It would be De Vrij or Hakimi for me.
Okay, okay, and yeah, sorry, you can go ahead with your flop of the match.
Flop of the match for me, Sanchez.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
guy, like you said, he overdoes a lot. I think you know
yeah,
what he has a time bomb in him because he knows that okay, within 60 minutes I have to do something, otherwise I'll be subbed.
yeah,
So that pressure and needless
mm,
challenges like on the keeper and stuff,
yeah,
and a lot of times caught offside and stuff when
mm,
promising positions. So for me,
mm.
definitely the flop of the match was Sanchez.
Yeah. I mean, agree, and of course, we have to make make constructive criticism wherever we can, but we aren't
Right,
being too harsh. But
right, right.
it is what it is. We are saying it as it is, and it wasn't one of his best games. So just before we cap it off, I'll just like to point out a few stats.
Sure.
Firstly, for Vecino, he's completed 100 appearances with Inter, so kudos to him. And with for Inter, I think this was our, of course, 11th consecutive win, and we are the first side since the 1989-90 AC Milan to have actually had this run in the second half of the season. Again,
Yes.
impressive. Of course, these are just stats, but it's an impressive stat in the modern day. And this is we are the team to score the latest goal, from a nil-nil situation in the 77th minute. That's another stat. So I think why I'm highlighting this stat is because it shows the persistence of the team. They don't want to stop. They want to keep
Right.
going. They will never stop. As Debray said, we don't want to stop winning. We want to give it our best. And if I just wanted to point something out finally, is something the fact that in our preview where you weren't there, Manish, with Nima, wherein I said that pointed a stat out that Inter haven't trailed in a match for 11, trailed in a game for 11 consecutive games. This after this, it's like the 12th game, and it's since January the 10th we haven't trailed in a match. I
All
mean, I
right.
don't want to jinx. We don't. I don't want to jinx it, of course, because we have Napoli coming up. But just highlighting it as it is, because I want to highlight. This team is doing some really good things, and we really are working hard to win the league. And I really hope we do. But yeah, I'm just pointing these stats out because it is something really important. Moving
Correct.
on. Yeah, moving on. Of course, we dive into the team rating, Manish. What do you rate the team performance?
I would
Considering,
uh,
yeah,
I would rate a team performance of 7. Mm,
yeah,
if you'd have scored more goals, I would get a better rating. But defense was
yeah,
sound, and we had a couple of chances. Moreover, 3 points is all it matters. So
mm,
7 ratings
yeah,
for me, my side.
yeah, 7. With that being said, I think 7 is fair enough, but I think I would give it a 7.5. And my reason for this is that we rotated. One, the fact that people have been going on this, agenda that, we keep less possession. The challenge was really that we had a lot of the ball, and it was not easy to break Cagliari down. Yes, they are 18th, but they made life tough for us. And they've showed yesterday that they
Right.
are better than an 18th place team. And without players like Hakimi and Lautaro on the pitch, I would give the team a 7.5. And of course, they did make a difference eventually. But the right attitude shown to deal with players like Pavoletti, Pedro, just very good. Yeah, I'm just happy with that. So 7.5. And lastly, what would you give Antonio Conte, Manish, considering the subs and
I
everything,
would
the game
give
management?
Conti an 8 rating because he bought in
Okay.
right players,
Hmm.
Hakimi
Hmm.
and Lautaro.
Yeah.
Just
Uh,
that the defensive submission D'Ambrosio wasn't that happy, but overall
yeah,
good to
yeah,
see the players, fringe players, get some minutes. So, like you
yep.
said, a team effort. So, I'll give a rating of 8.
Yeah, I agree with you on the rating. I think I'll give Conte an 8 too. As you said, the subs were. I was worried at a point that he was too late with the substitutions, but he proved me wrong. Of course, he made the right substitutions at the right time. I think when I hear his press conference, I can understand why he chose the starting 11. I was a bit worried about Hakimi not starting, but then when he gave that press conference, I could think rationally, and we spoke of the reasons. So I'll give him an 8. I completely agree with you. Those are player ratings. Is there anything you want to add
Yes,
regarding the match?
now
Yeah.
we have, I think, 11 points ahead of AC Milan and 12 ahead of Juventus. Next
Yep.
match,
Yep.
challenging match is against Napoli. But after the
Yep.
Napoli game, we have Spezia,
Yeah.
Verona, and Crotone, also and
Yep.
Sampdoria. So these four matches are quite okay. And as
Yeah.
the stats say, we need 13 points from the last 8
Yeah.
games. So,
Mm-hmm.
so pretty much achievable. And still,
Mm-hmm.
I'm keeping my feet on the ground. It's not
Yeah. Yeah. Of
one
course.
till it's all
Of course.
mathematically clear. But
Definitely. Definitely.
Conti definitely one of the very good coaches we have after Mourinho.
Yeah.
I'm really
Mm.
happy with this guy and the commitment. He also said something in the press conference which caught my attention was that
Mm.
I'm going to give these guys off tomorrow, but still these
Mm.
guys will come and train. That shows the
Yes.
commitment of the team, you
Yeah.
know. So
Yeah.
that was one of
Definitely.
the very powerful word he used, and
Yeah.
I was really
Yeah.
happy. It brought a smile to my face.
Yeah, I mean, his press conferences definitely are exciting to watch generally, regardless of what happens. And I agree with you. It brought a smile to my face as well. And I was happy to see when he said stuff like, he would jump and fire for the players. And it's just, I know, of course, these are things you say, but, you can really see the team spirit. I mean, we
The
keep on saying
bonding,
this on every,
yes.
yeah, the bonding, we see this in every episode, but it's really there. It's just not hearsay. You can see it on the pitch. Yesterday Darmian scores, he goes and he jumps over the team, and he was asked this in his post-match press conference too. We've kept this video clip aside. They told him we've saved it for one of those his history books. So it's just good to see. And I think everything went well yesterday. And as you said, Manish, it's not done yet. As Conte keeps saying, it's not done. We do. And from this point, I believe no match is easy. As Conte keeps saying, as you said, we have Napoli next, we have Spezia, Hellas Verona, Crotone, Sampdoria, Roma, Juventus, and Udinese. That's the order of fixtures.
Right.
And Napoli won't be easy. They just beat Sampdoria yesterday, and Sampdoria is a team that has beaten us, and it's not never easy to play Sampdoria. But yeah, coming just to cap it off, everything went well yesterday. We have an entire week now to prepare for Napoli. This is this is what Conte needs, right? Entire week to prepare for Napoli, and Barella will be back. Hopefully, Perisic can recover. We will of course do our Napoli preview. Of course, there's still time for it. So all in all, yeah, just everything goes well. Everything went well yesterday, and we couldn't have asked for more. 3 matches in 8 days. We needed 9 points of 9 in those 3 matches, and we did it. Is there anything you want to lastly add, Manish, or should
Oh,
I cap it
I'm
off?
cool. Cap it off. I
Yeah,
think it's good. We'll catch
yeah.
on the
So
Napoli preview.
I mean, that was our match review for Cagliari, guys. Thanks for joining us. An important win for Inter, and of course, you can find our podcast on YouTube as the Solo Inter podcast, and we are also available on multiple audio platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and we leave all the links below in the description, as always. And yeah, we will preview the Napoli match soon. It will be played on Sunday. We'll probably preview it by Thursday or Friday. So do tune in for that. And thanks for joining us as always. Forza Inter.
Forza Inter.